How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a crazy story out of a New York City school. This is for grades 6 through 12. You're talking about pretty young kids, like 10, 11 years old, on up to 17, 18-year-old young men and women. So a pretty broad spectrum and a very important time in their lives when their minds are still forming, when they're still trying to be able to get an idea of who they are and how they want to approach life and how they want to view others. Now, what I'm going to show you in this video is an example of critical race theory, and you're going to see exactly why Trump banned it on the federal level. Now, I think one of Biden's first, I don't know how many, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1,000 executive orders was to roll Trump's executive order back, but we need to re-roll that back to the way Trump had it, because if we're going to have critical race theory just flourish in America, there's going to be a big problem with actual racism and not the perceived racism that some of these SJW types feel like exists. So without getting too long into the intro, let's jump straight into it. And you see the headline here: pure racism, New York City principal sends home white identities list to parents to convert them to the quote white traitors stage of whiteness. Now, this whole thing about whiteness I've been seeing for a while. I'm not even really sure what it is. It's like, okay, we got to dismantle whiteness. We got to abolish whiteness, cancel whiteness. What is whiteness? What does that really mean? I think they're going to break it down here in two graphics. This is a very short article, but the main thing will be the graphics. Here's a little subhead in the article. This is on the Gateway Pundit and quite a few other sources. Critical race theory watchdog Christopher F. Rubio reported on Monday that the principal of a New York school sent a list of white identities to white parents so that they could try to convert themselves from white supremacists to white abolitionists. All right. And the school is called the East Side Community School. So that's, like I said, that's grades 6 through 12. But the East Side Community School teacher even included a white supremacism spectrum for parents to self-identify. And we have it on the screen before you, the White Identities by Barner Hess. That's Barnorhesse. I have no idea who that is, but the name of his or their Zemzir, whatever they want to identify as, the name of the organization is called the Slow Factory. Have no idea what that is, but we're going to get into this little spectrum here. And if you can't see the screen, you just listen to me talk. There's a spectrum. It's like a, half circle. And on one end, you have white supremacists. That's the red. That's like the bad area. And then on the other end, you have white abolitionists. And that's the green. So if you're on that side of it, then you're a good white. You're not the bad white on the other side where the white supremacists are. But in between white supremacists and white abolitionists, going from the bad side to the good side, you have, of course, white supremacists, then white voyeurism, white privilege, white benefit, white confessional, white critical, white traitor, and then white abolitionists. Now, I guess the whole idea behind this is to, I don't want to say, it's not deprogramming people, it's to program them. You're trying to program white people into being something different. You're trying to weaken white people, so you're just leveling the playing field, basically. Rather than other races of people just achieving more, doing better, and tightening it up, you want to make the white man weaker. Okay, I saw some exit poll data from the election. I'm not sure if the data is true or false. Could be, maybe not. But I'm seeing that Trump was able to gain in each racial and gender category. You're talking about black men, white women, black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, but he was not able to gain in white men. He actually lost in white men, according to what I've read. Maybe that's wrong, maybe that's right. But I think charts like this, and their main objective is to reduce the amount of white conservative men that are out there so others get a quote unquote fair shake, which will only just bring down the country overall, but we'll keep on moving. And right below the little chart, it says there is a regime of whiteness and there are action-oriented white identities. People who identify with whiteness are one of these. It's about time we build an ethnography of whiteness, since white people have been the ones writing about and governing others. And they capitalize the O in others. This is so silly. This is that SJW And if you don't know what that means, that social justice warrior, this is part of their whole thing. Okay, you're getting, rather than a re-education camp, you're getting an education camp. And let's get into some of these, definitions for what you just heard about earlier. All right, so here's a chart: the 8 white identities, and the first one is white supremacists. And a definition: clearly marked white society that preserves, names, and values white superiority. Now, anytime I see somebody talking about white supremacy, this white supremacy, that, I'm thinking, okay, you believe in white supremacy. Anybody that's complaining about white supremacy believes in it. You think it's real. I don't think it's real. I don't think white people are superior. I don't think any race is superior to any other race. I judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's kind of how I carry it. It was a guy back in the day that said the same thing. I'm not quite sure how it be perceived today by the so-called liberals and non-racists, but I digress. The second one, white voyeurism. Definition: wouldn't challenge a white supremacist, desires non-whiteness because it's interesting, pleasurable, seeks to control the consumption and appropriation of non-whiteness, fascination with culture, example, consuming black culture without the burden of blackness. Now, this is a confusing one because I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the person that wrote this, or to the audience and may take this as something that's serious. Okay, I'm looking at a person like Rachel Dolezal, remember the fake black woman that was really white? Sean King, again, fake black man that's really white. People like that. I'm looking at them. So are they bad people? Because on the left, they're being, they're not really being attacked. I mean, Sean King is clearly white, but he's like a guy that has a pretty top position. He didn't make plenty of money, so I'm not really sure where on this white list he would actually go. Would it be a white abolitionist, a white trader, white voyeurism? I don't really know. Okay, it's just kind of weird. And then I guess it's a bad thing to desire non-whiteness. So let me get this straight. Being white is somehow a problem, and you got to try to diagnose it and come up with little cures for each, stage of it. But at the same time, it's bad to desire non-whiteness. Why would you, if a white person desires someone or something that's not white, why is that a bad thing? Because it's interesting. I mean, why would a black person desire something that's non-black or white? Maybe like they like it, it's interesting. Maybe the person is interesting, they like them. This is just kind of a stupid thing. Like right away, I'm poking holes on this little quote unquote argument, but we keep on going. Number 3, white privilege. A definition: may critique supremacy, but a deep investment in questions of fairness, equality under the normalization of whiteness and the white rule, sworn goal of diversity. Again, I don't understand. So diversity, that's somehow not really all the way good, because remember, let's go back to the chart. Once you get into, white privilege, you still kind of in the red area, not quite into the orange, let alone yellow, let alone green. So you still kind of in the bad area. So I'm having a hard time understanding, is it good or bad? Okay, so I guess since you don't go all the way and try to attack white supremacy, and you're not one of these allies like a Black Lives Matter ally out there in the front line, you're not really quite good enough. Okay. 4, white benefit. Sympathetic to a set of issues, but only privately. Won't speak, act in solidarity publicly because benefiting through whiteness in public, parentheses, some PSC or some category as well. Okay, so you could be a person that's not white and you can benefit from whiteness, or maybe if you are not white and you don't attack white supremacy, then you're in the category of white benefit. Again, these rules, definitions make no sense at all. It's just really weird. So again, you got to be a foot soldier, basically. You got to be a crash test dummy. And if you're not out there putting your life on the line, your body on the line for whatever kind of cause whoever wrote this list wants you to do, then you're somehow not really all the way woke yet. You're still sleeping. All right. Now, number 5, white confessional. So at what point so now we're getting into more the yellow, we're getting more towards the green. And once you get the white critical, you're one step closer to being the ultimately good white man or white woman or white other, whatever you want to label yourself as. All right. So, white confessional number 5, definition. Some exposure of whiteness takes place, but as a way of being accountable to POC after seek validation from POC. Okay. So, I guess it's more of a thing where a person that's not white challenges you and then you pretty much acquiesce. I guess that's what that means. I don't really know. And nothing really burns my biscuits more than the term POC because that's no more than color people backwards with an oven in the middle, but I'll move on. White critical number 6, definition. Take on board, or I guess it's broad critiques of whiteness and invest in exposing, marking a white regime, refuses to be complicit with the regime, whiteness speaking back to whiteness. Okay, so this right here appears to be like the ultimate SJW, a type person that would get punched straight in the face by a black person because they support Black Lives Matter. So I don't really see how they're not quite all the way woke enough yet. Maybe they're not, taking the bullhorn, getting on TV and doing stuff like that. Maybe they're not all the way woke enough. But this person right here seems to be the ultimate SJW, typical Black Lives Matter, Antifa member type person that would be out there laying on the interstate highway at 5 p.m. rush hour to prevent you from going home or going to work because they want to stand in line with Black Lives Matter. They want to stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and people of color and all kind of stuff like that. Number 7, white traitor, actively refuses complicity, names what's going on, intention to subvert white authority and tell the truth at whatever the cost. Need them to dismantle institutions. So these are your politicals, I suppose. These are your ones that are going to get in office as a white person and say that they hate white people, right? And they hate America as well. They hate whiteness so much that they're going to just kill the entire country, including things that would benefit so-called people of color, call people whatever it is, just because they want to spite whiteness. So at this point, well into the green, you are a good white person if you're going to just ruin the entire country because you hate white folks. Okay. And then the last one, the top of the food chain, the ultimate white man, number 8, white abolitionists. Changing institutions, dismantling whiteness, and not allowing whiteness to reassert itself. So basically, don't have any kids because if you're white and you breed, then that's just wrong. If you breed with a black person, you can go all the way back. Remember, you can go back to the white voyeurism. You could be trying to get with a non-white person because it's interesting and it's pleasurable. So you can't procreate with a non-white person or have a white baby. Don't do anything like that. Be a crash test dummy. Put your life on the line. Just lay at the altar of whatever Black Lives Matter wants you to do. And raise that $10.6 billion and don't take near a dime. Give it all back to the so-called black community, in some cricket passer's hands or in a 78-year-old white man's hands by the name of Joe Biden. Okay. So that is the 8 white identities broken down for you in real time. So that was pretty interesting, pretty ridiculous, I would say. I think that's not really the right word to say interesting. It was ridiculous, 100%. If your kids are learning something like this from school, I don't know what to do. I say, if it was me, I'm taking them out of that school immediately. I'm going somewhere else. All right, this is in New York City, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Eastside Community School. If they're going there, take them out right now, okay? Or that person that's teaching that class needs to go, period. And the craziest part as I close is that they said, the school did, they said that this list was given to them by the parents first, and then the teachers distributed it to the kids. So you got a situation where you're surrounded by idiots. That's just the best way to call it. You got idiots. I mean, 8 white identities. Must you feel so bad about yourself and your position in life that you're just going to destroy yourself? It's suicidal, really. You're doing well in life. Your kids are living in New York City. They're going to a decent school, this and the third. Okay. Now you want to do something like this? I'm not sure what the makeup of the school is. Probably mostly white. Either you got 2 things that could happen. It could be a mostly white, well-to-do school or just pure ghetto, mostly minority. That's probably what it is. It's not really an in-between. The super white and quote-unquote privileged school is going to feel guilty about being white. So they want to hurt themselves. It's called self-deprecation. Self-harm, self-mutilation, because you feel like you're too high up on the totem pole. You want to embarrass yourself and hurt yourself just to signal to others that you're really doing a good job. That's called virtual signaling. You want to do that. Or the other end where you just, a real low income school, poor, struggling. You have some quote unquote woke people that are running the whole organization and they want to attack the so-called dominant society because that makes them feel good. That makes them feel like, hey, it's not our fault that we get so much money for you guys, probably some of the most in the nation for you guys. We're not improving their test scores. We're not improving the conditions of the school. We don't have good teachers that want to come here because it's in a bad neighborhood. It's not any fault of ours, of yours, of your parents, or anything like that. You got to blame the white man for what's happening right here. So either way it goes, this whole list is ridiculous, but I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Was that list crazy as I think? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. Or was it a good list? I'm not really sure what I missed on the list that was good. But at the end of it, I just want to say racism is racism, regardless of who it's from and who it's against. If we're going to be anti-racist, if we're going to be in a truly progressive society, let's break away from all the racism and get more towards judging everybody based upon their skills, their merit, their talent, their ability, and not their skin color. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.